Hello and welcome to the Critically Clueless. Today we are in Empire of Sin, and today's video is all about money. Now recently, of course, we have had the Precinct update, and with that potentially we have the DLC as well, Make It Count. And because of the new update Precincts, a few things within the game has changed. Some things are a little bit harder, some things are a little bit different. But it's been a good chunk of time since my last money guide, money update video. So I figured I would sink back into it, give you guys another money guide video, and hopefully this will help you from beginning to end. And if you're a regular viewer that's not currently subscribed, or this video ends up helping you in any way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it helps this channel out so much. And I'm going to start off with the very first tip and advice, and that is to loot Big Jim's stash. They are the crates dotted around Chicago, and of course they are guarded by a couple of thugs. Now these have always been in the game. Sometimes, well, when the game very first launched, they were absolutely amazing. Nowadays they're not all that. However, they do still have valuable items inside them, and since the update, the other AI gangs or factions don't actually go after these crates anywhere near as much, meaning that what's inside is yours, and of course these things can be sold for a good little chunk of money. And honestly, it is literally just 30 seconds out of your time at playing. So if you see one, go knock out those guards, get whatever's inside it. And if you don't want what's inside it, then just sell it on. But at the beginning of the game, when you very first started, these weapons can actually be extremely helpful. Now, once you've got a few weapons, or maybe you are running around looking for more of these crates, you're going to come across minor league factions. Now, of course, you've got the major factions like Frank Reagan, and then you've also got the minor factions, and you can run into them at any point in the game, and you can request something called protection money. And basically, they will give you a weekly income for protecting their business. Now, in my experience, whenever a major faction goes to war with a minor faction that I'm protecting, it has never once brought me into that war as well. So there really is no downside in getting this protection money from the minor league factions. However, the only thing that I would put a little bit of caution on is when you're expanding, try not to protect a racket sitting on a pipeline. In other words, one that is connecting to another neighborhood, because if you do, you may very well be stuck in that protection order, unable to buy them out and unable to actually expand your empire. So have a little think about which ones you do actually offer protection to because of that reason. But honestly, I personally find I make a lot of money from protection money early on in my game. I think exploring the map of Chicago when you're very first starting is a great idea anyway. You can obviously find a lot more of those loot crates. You can improve your relations with everyone in the game, and of course you can find all those minor league factions for that easy money. And as you can see, this is me, Danny McGee Jackson, early on in the game, and I'm making $600 just in protection money. Now, of course, we've got a load of junk that we've been getting from those crates, maybe from fights that you've been getting as well. So trading is a great way to get money in the game as well. More often than not, especially if you have a good relationship with a mob member, the better the relationship you have, the better the deals you're actually able to get. And as you can see, this very same shotgun sells more to another faction than it does in the black market. But hey, selling the weapons anyway is instant and easy cash. Now, once you actually manage to get some cash together, you may be wanting to take over a precinct or two. So when you do take over precincts, you will get a lot of cash and a lot of extra weapons and goods along the way too. So taking over precincts, especially even if you want to start out just attacking the thug run precincts, they're a great way to get easy early in-game money. And of course, once you move up from the thug precincts, you can then move into the minor precincts or even the major faction precincts after that, starting, one of the bigger wars. But as I said, all of this stuff that you collect from these, it can all be sold. Don't let it pile up, in your inventory, because if you're not going to use it, you might as well sell it. And of course, don't forget, you can either sell it to the major factions, like I've already said, or just on the black market for a quick buck. But if you are going to be doing a little bit of trading with the major factions, it can be said that you can still disguise your swill as whiskey, making a quick and easy buck that way too. Personally, I like to do this just before I go to war with a major faction, because you can only do it once per faction. This isn't something that you can constantly rinse and repeat. You do lose honor. The faction that you're doing it on will always find out as well. But if you do it correctly, and if you do it to the right faction, at the time, of course, every faction is always going to have a different playthrough. Someone's always going to get some goodies. Here, I managed to get cash and I managed to get blue body armor. For me, that was absolutely massive. And then I got a load of jank off them as well, which then I could use to sell and get some extra readies. This, honestly, early game is one of the biggest boosts that I can receive. So now we're moving up in the world. Maybe we got a few precincts. We got a little alcohol, spare alcohol. Of course, you can set up standing orders with minor league factions and of course major factions, and basically sell on your spare alcohol to these factions, meaning it's something you don't have to worry about. Again, it's not just sitting in your inventory waiting for you to do something with. This is actively actually happening, and you can sell as you're making it. As you can see, I'm producing 100 bottles of whiskey or cases of whiskey per week, and I can sell 22 cases per week to this one faction. Now you can't do it. There is a limit on this now. You can't just sell everything anymore to minor factions. So in other words, making a whiskey empire and having thousands and thousands and thousands of cases of whiskey that you can sell to minor league factions, that isn't a thing anymore. You can't do that. But you can set up standing orders and you can sell a little bit here and there to the minor factions, or of course the major factions as well. This is something that has been patched since the precinct update. Personally, I think it's a welcome change, because beforehand you could literally just have a neighborhood full of breweries all pumping out whiskey and then just sell hundreds and thousands of bottles and cases of whiskey to those minor factions and make absolute bank. Now you actually have to work a little bit harder for your money. However, something else has changed in the precinct update, and that's that your breweries will now produce the highest quality possible. So if you max your breweries, they will produce whiskey, and then they will sell that whiskey in your speakeasies. And speakeasies honestly have become probably the most profitable way to make easy cash. If you're selling whiskey and you have speakeasies, then you're pretty minted. Within my my main playthrough at the moment, I have got a mixture between brothels, speakeasies, casinos, and when looking at what I'm actually getting, I'm making twice as much from speakeasies than I am from casinos and brothels. So my advice is honestly to work with that. Work on breweries producing whiskey, and then work on your speakeasies selling that whiskey for you. Of course, just making sure that you actually produce enough whiskey to cover to cover the demand, because if you can't keep up with that demand, you're going to start losing money. Those speakeasies aren't going to be making any money at all, and then you're going to go on a bit of a downward spiral. But by far the most profitable racket within the game, if you have the new DLC, is the loan sharks. The loan sharks are mad. So basically you have 3 different types of loan shark based on your racket size. So you have the small, which will cost you 5,000. You have the medium, which will cost you 20,000, and then you've got the large, which will cost you $100,000. And I know a lot of people within my Discord have been asking me, is it actually worth the money and the investment? And I can tell you it absolutely is, because you make 10% back on your investment. So if you have an investment of $100,000, you're going to be making 10,000 back from that loan sharks alone. And of course that is weekly, and it definitely goes up. The more of them you have, the more money you will notice you have coming in. You can only ever have one loan shark in each precinct, and you can only even set a loan shark if you actually have a fixer hired. But if you don't have the DLC, like I said, honestly, speakeasies for me are probably the way to go. Just because you can make a good chunk of money. Obviously, if you pop in a large speakeasy, as you can see here on screen, I'm making a good bit of money from that. And of course, that isn't actually upgraded. So if you go in, make sure you do actually upgrade these properties now, because beforehand upgrading wasn't a huge deal. But now it definitely pays to upgrade these rackets. There's a more emphasis and importance on doing so, just so you can make that extra money. And as you can see from this breakdown at the top, by far apart from my loan sharks, because the loan sharks are just off the chain when it comes to money making. But as you can see from the top, the speakeasies are making twice as much money as my other rackets. But that is of course because I am serving a lot of good quality alcohol. But guys, that is it for the end of this video. So hopefully you have learned something. Hopefully it's helped you. If you have any more questions at all, you can always comment on this video. I'll do my very best to make sure that I reply to each and every one of you. We do, of course, have a growing and active Discord as well. If you'd like to join that, the link will be down in the description. And of course, feel free to add your own tips and advice when it comes to money making within the Empire of Sin. Comment down below, because I'll be very interested to know if there is something that maybe I have overlooked. But until next time, I have been a monk and we've been a Critically Clueless, and I'll see you in the next video.